Hey guys, Margarita here. I am so excited you decided to join me. So today's short practice is kind of all about taking action, where to find action on the mat and in life. We do a little bit of back release today. There's definitely some movement in there. Kind of a nice gentle movement practice, a little bit of flow and some stillness. We open up the hips, the back, and we snuggle into what we might need on the mat. Just grab a mat if you need to. You might also want bricks and maybe even a blanket just for a little bit of comfort on your knees. So, see you there. So let's just begin cross-legged and kind of find your seat. If your hips are really sticky, maybe it feels horrible to sit here on the ground, feel free to sit on a brick, grab a blanket. This is your jam, right? Make yourself comfortable. No one can see you. So let it all go and just be here. And perhaps closing your eyes and softening the gaze, and just allow yourself a few moments just to ground down, to be here inside your body, and allow yourself to notice. Notice any spaces of the body that are sticky, maybe that don't feel that great, or on the flip, notice all those spaces that do feel great. And then from that point of awareness, just begin to breathe. Noticing the inhales and the exhales, just as they arrive. And then I invite you to really fully inhale. Really fill up with oxygen, fill up with this moment. Allow your lungs to expand, allow your rib cage to really fill up, and then let it all go. And taking a few moments and just notice yourself breathing. It's not very often we do, but I invite you today just to notice.
It's going to be a lovely day.
Bringing that to a close, let's bring our hands just to our heart center.
Yes.
And I invite you to set an intention for today's practice. The focus I'm going to set for today's practice is just one of taking action. Action perhaps through movement or perhaps through stillness, but either way, just taking conscious action in itself is an act of bravery and courage. In a world where so many of us are kind of bound and trapped by so many options, so many things to do, maybe even bound by anxiety or depression. Today on the mat, let's explore. Just taking that first step towards action in action. With the next inhale, let's inhale, sweeping the arms overhead. Interlace the fingertips, press the arms into the back space, and just find a lot of length in that spine. And then from here, slowly begin to hinge at the waist, keeping the arms nice and long. And just find a long spine here. And then eventually, bringing the arms down to the earth. And just notice what it feels like to press your palms down. Having that little bit of security underneath you. And then from here, let's begin to just take the gaze down towards our feet. Allow the head to hang heavy. Find a lot of length in that cervical spine, the back of that neck. And then press the arms into the earth, just rounding that upper back slightly. And then let's do the exact opposite. Taking the gaze up. Pressing the heart center down towards the earth. And then slowly walking the hands back to the body. Let's inhale, sweep the arms. With the next exhale, take that left arm down, reach over with the right. And then with the next exhale, bringing that right arm down, kind of at a slight angle towards that left knee. And gently opening up that low back a little bit, getting into that hip on that right side. And then slowly walking the hands back through center. And then walking the hands back up. Dive into the other side. Inhale, sweeping the arms, reaching the arms. Exhale, bring the right arm down, reaching over with the left. Really begin to root that left sit bone. Finding a lot of length, opening up that hip, that back. And then on your exhale, whatever happens to you, allow that left arm this time to float kind of over that right knee. Landing here. And then slowly walking the hands back through center. Finding that big, beautiful breath once again. And slowly coming up. Let's help the knees on in. Let's actually lengthen the legs. So from here, thinking about pressing the backs of the knees, as I've heard it before, the eyes of the knees into the earth. Really pressing down to find length in the legs, pointing the toes at your head. Then we're going to take the arms right next to us, pressing hands in and just find a lot of length in that spine. Think about as you press the arms down, you almost unweight the spine a little bit. Coming into Dandasana. And then from here, just hinging at the waist slightly. It's a really soft, gentle action. But perhaps, just notice what that action does to the legs and the low back. Well, let's say maybe you missed it or you're like, oh, I just rounded into it. Start again, right? It's not a big deal. Find length in the legs, length in the spine. Bring your hands next to you, press in, and then begin to hinge again. And then slowly coming back up. Let's take that right leg up. Let's add a little bend. Think about rooting that right foot into the ground, finding that length again. And we're going to inhale, sweep the arms, just coming into a gentle twist. We're going to twist. And so twists are different for every body. So feel free to really bring that right leg out, right? If we need a little more room here, give yourself room, give yourself permission. Notice if that right shoulder is really crunching in to make this happen. And then think about what you can do to kind of move that arm, that leg, to give yourself space to find a twist that feels good for you right now. And then once you're here in the twist, think about lengthening that spine up. So you're rooting the sits bones down, lengthening the crown of that head right into the sky. And now, finding the action in the breath itself. I invite you to inhale fully. And inhale to kind of inhale to the back space. Thinking about as your lungs fill up with oxygen, it kind of presses against your rib cage into the back body. And think about this inhale, this expansion, it's kind of opening up the spine. And then from here, unraveling, inhale, straighten the arms, and then twist, little counter pose, this time to the left. Unravel, coming to center, and let's just do the other side. Let's bring that left leg up this time. And just like we did before, same kind of awareness. Pressing that left foot in. Inhale, sweeping the arms. Exhale, twisting towards the left. And really find that twist, just like you did last time. Maybe that arm comes on the outside, you use it as leverage. Maybe that's too much on the shoulder and you feel like you're a little bound. So bring that arm to the outside. And then once you find the twist, think about lengthening your spine, just straight up, as much as you can. And find the action here in the breath. Inhaling this moment, filling up the lungs, allowing the spine to lengthen and gently kind of opening up a little bit. And then unraveling, coming to center. Inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale, twist to the other side. Let's go ahead and flip on over. Just to hands and knees. Bringing the hands under the shoulders, knees come under the hips. And then from here, just like we did before, kind of with the cervical spine, we're just gonna bend the lower lumbar. So begin to tuck the tailbone under enough to just find some length in the lower lumbar. And then from here, curling the toes, pressing the hips up and back to down dog. And then from here, walking the feet to the hands. And you don't have to be graceful. Right? We have this notion we're supposed to look a certain way. It's supposed to be this really fluid motion. But get there however you can. Give yourself permission. Arriving in forward fold to Uttanasana and just literally hanging here for a moment and noticing your forward folds. Maybe your feet are pretty close together. Maybe they're relatively farther apart. Whatever feels good for you, slowly coming on up, pressing feet into the earth, bending the knees. Inhale, sweeping the arms, reaching up. Interlace the fingertips, press the arms up as you root the feet down. And let's fall all the way down. Exhale, coming down. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, press the hips back. Staying here for a moment or so. Allowing yourself to catch up. And what I mean by that is, notice what it feels like. Sometimes we get so bogged up in the action of the to-do list, it just becomes the action without a conscious choice. So make this all conscious action. Exhale, falling down, hands come to the earth. Let's just step it back, hold plank. And plank is your plank. Drawing the belly button in, taking liberties here. Bending the knees. Maybe that's the kind of day it is, right? Maybe we've already done this 100 times. Maybe our wrists are really finicky, so we need to come down to our forearms. Letting that heat, that action build up, then bending the knees, snuggling into child's pose. Allowing the forehead to land somewhere. Earth, hands, a block, whatever. And just taking a moment here. Finding the breath. Action is about living fully. Inaction is the way that we deny life. Inaction is sitting in front of the television every day. Or just sitting for years. Because you are afraid to be alive. And to take the risk of expressing what and who you are. Expressing what you are is in itself taking action. If your arms are wrapped around you, let's lengthen the arms overhead. Let's inhale round through cat, curl the toes, press the hips up and back. to down dog. Arriving in Adho Mukha Savasana. And just noticing before you go anywhere what you need here, what feels good and maybe what doesn't. And then eventually walking the feet to the hands, coming back into forward folds. Flowing once again through one Suriname A, sun salutation with the next inhale, reaching on up, rooting the feet. Exhale, falling forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Ardha Uttanasana, exhale to fold. Hands come to the earth, step it back, hold plank once again. Then press the hips up and back to down dog. Taking a moment here, a breath for you. This down dog could become child's pose. Maybe it's walking the dog, maybe it's three-legged dog. Then eventually from here, stepping, whopping, hopping, walking forward. Apparently I'm getting silly today. With the next inhale coming on up, reaching on up as you root the feet down. A little bit of a balance challenge here. Let's root that right foot down and begin just to lift the left. Think about really pressing that right foot down, rooting it down into the earth while reaching up. Perhaps noticing all the little micro movements of your body, right? That has to happen for you just to stay here. And then from here, we're just gonna step back. And this can be as grand or as small as you want. Maybe you just put the foot down, catch your bearings. Maybe you step fully back. However you wanna get there, come into high lunge. Tucking the tailbone under, lengthening the arms out, really rooting the feet. Think about hips, knees, toes forward. Bringing the arms up. With the next exhale, open Virabhadrasana 2. Slight release of that back heel, really root the feet down, lengthening the arms. Lengthen the arms straight out. Thinking about the arms parallel to the earth. Then from here, inhale, bringing both toes to that left side of the mat. And then on the next exhale, we're just gonna fold forward. Come down any way you want. Maybe your arms stay long. Maybe your hands come right to your legs. Feel free, bend the knees. Bring our hands right down to the earth. Use blocks if you need to. Here we are, wide-legged forward folds. Taking a moment and first just finding what feels comfortable. We love to lock out the knees. I invite you to add a bend to the knees. What does it feel like to just soften that joint? And then perhaps staying here or maybe reaching the arms right off the mat. Pressing the hips back, coming into wide-legged down dog, maybe dipping the head in between. And then add a little movement here. Or should I say exploration? Maybe moving here or there, adding some action. But not because I said so, because you should never do anything because somebody said so. But perhaps more to see what you can discover. Maybe in the action of this exploration, you could unlock something. And maybe that's a physical thing, maybe there's a release here or there, or maybe it's more of a mental thing. Maybe it's this notion that giving yourself permission and freedom unlocks everything. Eventually bringing that to a close, walking both hands to the top of the knees, toes, hips, bringing that left knee down. Feel free to pat the knee too, especially if you're on a hardwood surface. Give yourself some love. Right from here, squeezing the thighs. Inhale, bringing the arms up, low crescent, send that heart center up. Find some balance here for you. So let's say you're really wobbly. In the morning, I tend to be a little off balance. You can take that front leg and just bring it a little wider. All of a sudden, you have way better balance. Give yourself whatever you need. We're gonna go into a twist here. So from here, we're gonna take that right arm back, left arm forward. Think about turning towards the right side of the mat, but really rooting the feet down. Thinking about knees, hips, toes, still straight. Taking a moment here, wringing out anything that might be stuck inside you, right? Letting it go, to release the past, to walk bravely into the future. And then slowly unraveling, bringing both arms up. Exhale, bring both hands to the earth. From here, we're gonna curl left toes under, firm up the left leg. We could use bricks. Also another option, maybe we're really finicky, like our knees are finicky, we don't trust them. Just step it back. And then from here, step right leg back to meet the left. Here we are again in plank. Plank, one of my favorite spaces to be in because while you're not necessarily moving, it's an isometric kind of an exercise, if you will, or pose. There's so much going on. There's so much action in the stillness of this posture. From here, press the hips up and back to down dog. And then eventually beginning that journey to the heart of the mat once again. One step at a time, coming to forward folds. And then when you're ready to inhale, inhale, upward salute. Bring the arms up, reach on up. And then from here, this time we're gonna root that left leg, bring the right leg up. And let's say, maybe you don't trust that left leg. Feel free to keep those right toes right on the ground. You find your own freedom here. Find that little bit of balance. And then let's begin to step back. Take the right leg behind, find that high lunge. Hips, knees, toes forward. And on the exhale, open Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Think about there's a slight external rotation of that back leg. Lengthening the arms, finding kind of the strength of the warrior here. Let's throw it into a metaphor, because you know I love those metaphors. Thinking about the strength you need to find movement, to find action, to get out of all those spaces that you might find yourself stuck in. Maybe it's as the reading suggests, you know, your couch, your sofa. Maybe it's something else. Maybe, you know, you're falling in to anything that keeps you trapped. From here, inhale, sweeping both arms up, pointing the toes towards the side of the mat, and on the exhale, wide leg forward fold, reaching the arms out if this is too much on the spine. Coming down, finding that wide-legged forward fold. And you guessed it, man, we're gonna stay here and kind of jam out a little bit. Maybe bravely reaching off the mat, pressing the hips back, coming into wide-legged down dog, and finding that exploration here for you. What kind of movement do you need? What kind of action do you need in your life? And then eventually from here, walking to the top of the mat, turning both toes, knees, Right knee down. Squeezing the thighs, coming on up. Low lunge. Sending the heart center up. Finding the balance here before we go anywhere. And then exhale, bringing left arm back, right arm forward. And with the next exhale, cartwheeling down, bringing both hands down. We're just gonna step left leg back and slink the body right down to the earth. Coming into a slight back extension here, drawing the shoulder blades back. And then from here, just flip on over. Adding a bend to the knees, rooting the spine. If you have a brick handy, go ahead and grab onto that. We're going to go into a little bit of a back extension or supported bridge first. And I invite you to be super mindful of your back, especially your lower lumbar. From here, we're going to root the feet, and all we're going to do is tilt the pelvis. Imagine pointing your tailbone above your head. It's going to lift the back of your pelvis off the earth. It's going to lift a little more of that lower lumbar. We're going to go right into bridge, pressing the hips up, coming into that mid-spine. And then coming right back down, bone by bone by bone. Kind of intentionally moving the spine in one direction. And then we're going to do that again. We're just going to kind of stop halfway. Pointing the tailbone above the head once again, lifting the back of that pelvis. And we're going to take that brick at its flattest point, and we're just going to put it behind the back of the pelvis. And then just release the glutes right onto it. It should feel really comfortable. If it doesn't, the brick is probably too high. It's probably more like in your lower lumbar or the middle of your spine. So think about bringing it down closer to your feet. And by all means, if this does not feel good, just get rid of the brick. If you would like to unweight on the brick, feel free. Just by walking your feet out. And just like I said, be super mindful of what it feels like to be on that brick. And then from here, pressing feet into the earth, lifting the pelvis up, removing the brick, and then slowly coming down, bone by bone by bone. And then from here, opening your arms out like a great big T. Let's release the knees just to one side. Coming into a twist. And coming back to that breath. And then coming out of this, one knee at a time, come back through center. Inhale fully when you get there, and then on the exhale, release the knees, this time to the opposite side. then eventually slowly coming back through center, finishing with happy baby. Bringing the knees kind of into the armpits, if you will, slinking the arms between, maybe bringing the soles of the feet together, maybe dropping them apart. And giving yourself any other movement or stillness here in this asana that you may need. Eventually releasing the feet down, lengthening the legs, and coming into your Shavasana. Perhaps closing your eyes if that's an option for you. And just lying there on the mat, wherever you may be in the world. Finishing with the reading, and then I'm just going to shut off the camera. So you can stay in Shavasana however long you need. Expressing what you are is in itself taking action. You can have many great ideas in your head, but what makes the difference is simply the action. Without action upon an idea, there will be no manifestation, no results, no reward. A good example of this comes from the story of Forrest Gump. He didn't have great ideas. He didn't have a great childhood, and he wasn't well funded. But he took action. He was happy because he always did his best at whatever he did. He was richly rewarded without expecting any reward at all. Taking action is being alive. It's taking the risk to go out and express yourself, your dreams, and your desires. So thank you so much for joining me. And of course, if you like this, guys, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And then of course, it's super duper helpful if you like or you comment. It really, really is. So thank you guys so much for taking your time listening to me, maybe even joining me on the mat. And as always, guys, stay powerful.